Why South Korea will probably go extinct.
The silent nurseries. In South Korea, more cribs sit empty than ever before. The fertility rate is now the lowest in the world, 0.72 births per woman. A city that doesn't stop. Seoul moves fast, but family life moves slower. Long work hours, rising costs, and relentless competition leave little space for children. The price of parenthood. Raising one child can cost over $200,000. From private tutors to cram schools, parents feel pressure to provide perfection. Women in the workforce. Many women now choose careers over motherhood, but South Korea ranks near the bottom in gender equality among developed nations. The rise of Sampo and 4B movements. Young people are giving up dating, marriage, and children. Movements like Sampo, giving up 3 things, and 4B, no sex, no dating, no marriage, no kids, are growing. Tradition versus modern reality. Despite change, cultural expectations persist. Out-of-wedlock births are rare and stigmatized. Social norms remain conservative. The government's incentive push. The government offers cash, childcare, and even free housing, but fertility keeps falling. Policy can't fix culture overnight. The baby gap. By 2070, nearly half the population could be over 65. With fewer births and longer lives, the country faces a demographic cliff. Global eyes on Korea. Other nations watch closely. Japan, Italy, China, all facing similar challenges. But South Korea is the world's starkest warning. A future unwritten. In a nation of ambition and innovation, the question remains, can the future still include children? Or will growth mean something else entirely?
Birth rates are falling all over the world, including in this country, and some governments are starting to panic over it.
Is the pregnancy rate dropping that much?
It's like 1/3.
Hey y'all, welcome back. I've been gone for a few weeks, but I am back and I want to talk about the government in South Korea, y'all. Y'all know South Korea is where 4B started, and a lot of people over there are still denying it, but their government is panicking so much that they are talking about importing girls or young women from different countries to bring over to their country to impregnate, to give to their men so they can get them pregnant to boost the birth rate. Women globally are saying, no, we're not going, because the men are not trying to fix it. They're not trying to look in the mirror to see what they're doing to cause women to not want to birth them. They're just like trying to throw money at us, trying to do everything but listen to us. So y'all, this is crazy. The people in South Korea went in on this governor. Rightfully so. He's actually talking about importing. This is how you know men do not look at women as humans, but they look at us like commodities. They look at us like incubators, like they need our bodies to keep bringing men into the world so they can continue capitalizing and sending your sons to war, to fight. They need your sons to put into armies like MAGA and ICE to destroy this planet, basically. So this is why women are choosing not to birth anymore. And I'm proud of y'all. Just stop for at least the next decade, because all the racist crap we're seeing in the United States, I wish women here would just make the birth rate plummet to hell. Recently, Trump just had a meeting with all the U.S. governors, and the only black governor I think in the country was not allowed access to this meeting because he was black. He's also doing this to black farmers. He's trying to kick all the people out of the country that are not white. And they're trying to force white women into like marriage camps and taking away birth control to force white women to have more kids. It's also going to force black women to have kids that they don't want. But not only that, it's more dangerous for black women because they don't want black babies. So if black women get pregnant right now, you may or may not come out of that hospital alive. You and your baby may not come out of that hospital alive. But y'all, let's get into what people are saying about this South Korean government, and I will be back after this.
South Korean governor is being dragged online after suggesting that the solution to a shrinking population in South Korea is, listen to this, is to import women. And yes, he actually used the word import. Meet the governor of Chindo, Kim Hee-soo. He was at a town hall meeting a couple days ago talking about emerging regions to help with the economy. He started going off the rails. He literally told the crowd, and I quote, "When it comes to improving the economy, we should import women from Sri Lanka or Vietnam. Young men in rural areas to marry." He said, what's the point of revitalizing the economy if there's not enough people? And this whole town hall meeting was on live stream. There were 15,000 people watching this on YouTube. The chat just went absolutely wild. And even the mayor of Gwangju, Kang Gi-jun, had to step in and be like, yo, this is inappropriate. Pretty much jumped in and said, hey, talking about marriage and importing foreigners is inappropriate. Some context if you don't know. It's no news that South Korea has been struggling with population for the past few years. Government data shows that 13 cities in the Cholla provinces are at high risk of disappearing because there just aren't enough people because young people leave for the city and old people stay. Yeah, treating women like imported goods is just not the vibe. What do you think?
This is embarrassing and rude. No wonder there's been huge backlash online. So you know South Korea's population is shrinking fast, especially in rural areas. Listen, this is what the governor from Jindo area, Kim Hee-soo, literally said yesterday as the solution to this problem. He literally said we should import young women from Sri Lanka or Vietnam for rural men to marry in Korea. Yes, import, like people are products. He said this at a public town hall on live stream and people are rightfully furious. This isn't just a bad joke or poor word choice, it's a dehumanizing mindset. Immigrant women are not tools to fix your declining birth rates. This framing treats women, especially from developing countries, like disposable solutions to policy problems. And why specifically mention certain countries' women? And it's just embarrassing that this mindset still exists in this day and age. If importing wives is the solution to population decline, then you're literally proving why women don't want to stay in these regions in the first place. This is just so embarrassing and backwards. What do you think? Make sure to follow for more Korean news.
The governor recommends that in order to combat the declining birth records in South Korea, that what they need to do is to import women from Southeast Asia. Now here's the thing. This is not the first time that South Korea has done this. This was done shortly after the Cold War and again in the 1970s and the 1980s, where migrant workers were sent to South Korea to help with their economic decline and to help promote marriage and birth. And these migrant workers actually helped build the economy for South Korea. But what happened was in society, these migrant workers were treated really badly, shunned by the Korean people. And then the children that they created with Korean people were considered hanhol, which means mixed blood. And these mixed blood children were then also mistreated, shunned by society, and did eventually lead to the whole issue with illegal adoptions from South Korea, with a lot of hanhol children being sent to live in America. So Korean economics massively boomed thanks to these migrant workers, but then they were treated so badly along with their children. And the fact that this governor even recommended it to me is insane. But his remarks were heavily criticized, and he was even basically told in a very polite way to shut up by other people in the live event. So good job. Good job.
Why do feminist movements in East Asia becoming more radical and successful? Why do seemingly conservative countries like China, South Korea, and Japan now have the lowest birth rates in the world? Personally, I think there are three main reasons. First is education and income. East Asian women, especially in China, have benefited enormously from the massive expansion of higher education in recent decades. At the same time, rapid economic growth and rising income levels have given women the option to opt out. In the past, marriage was a survival necessity for women. Now, for self-sufficient women, marriage often means a decline in quality of life. When women realize we can create a high-quality life on our own, we naturally lose interest in marriage and childbirth. And second, the extreme suppression leads to extreme rebellion. East Asian countries have been deeply influenced by Confucianism for centuries, a culture centered on male superiority and female subordination, which oppresses women in every aspect of life. Because the opponent, the patriarchal system, is so entrenched, the resistance has to be more radical. Third is the absence of religious constraints. China has one of the largest atheist population in the world. Chinese women are highly practical and realistic. We do not believe in marriage as a secret union. We only look at who does the work, who pays the bills, who suffers in a marriage. So without religious constraints, women can dismantle patriarchy more freely. If there is no God, then the rules are made by people. And if they're made by people, then we can tear them down and start over. At least among the women around me, more and more are choosing unmarried and child-free. I definitely see this as a sign of social progress. What do you think of the feminist movement in East Asia? Let me know in the comment section.
Women literally just gave up on their men. They're like, they're fucking assholes, they're not gonna change, so we're all gonna go extinct.
No heterosexual marriage, no childbirth, no dating men, and no heterosexual relationships. These are the vibes of the 4B movement in South Korea. It's basically a feminist movement protesting against the country's rampant misogyny and advocates women to reject gender norms, including marriage and having kids. The 4Bs stand for the 4 principles in Korean, coined in 2016 by the author Cho Nam-ju. Now it's blowing up on TikTok, especially after these YouTubers on their platform Solidarity said that marriage is the root cause of patriarchy. But a recent catalyst of the movement may also be incidents of high-profile murders of women, revenge porn, and spy cam sex crimes. Lots of people online are saying it's a long time coming and it's a rational response to the male-dominated culture of South Korea. You can also see women from other countries expressing solidarity with the 4B movement and wanting it to spread. Some critics of the 4B movement are claiming it's the reason behind the low birth rate in South Korea. South Korea has the world's lowest birth rate and hit an all-time high in 2023 of only 0.78 kids per woman. But others argue that the low birth rate is due to economic reasons, like poor job prospects, the high cost of raising kids, unaffordable housing, and long working hours. And the gendered reasons. Mothers face discrimination in the workplace, gender-based violence is prevalent in relationships, and women are expected to take on the majority of household burdens. But some female South Korean bloggers have said that the 4B movement is just an exaggeration of Western ideologies and represents a very small part of the population. It's hard to know how many women are part of 4B, as lots of the women keep themselves anonymous, but estimates range from between 5 to 50,000 women.
Korean women are dedicated to erasing Korea from the planet because listen to this. I will not give birth to a life that will discriminate against my gender. My own flesh and blood must not become a blade that turned against me. If the world born from my body oppresses me, I will not let that world exist. This is the declaration from the Korean feminists, and they're dead as serious. They started the 4B movement where they rejected marriage, childbirth, dating schmacks with men. And now Korea has the world's lowest birth rate and is indeed projected to be the first country disappearing from the planet due to population decline. You know what? You gotta respect.
I feel like I still see a lot of men who want to have babies, who want to make a lot of kids. But the truth be told is, I really think that men would prefer to have more kids than women would, because let's just be for real. Men don't really have to do anything other than give their sperm. Like, we have to do, like, women are exhausted. Women are tired. Women don't want to have 5 or 6, 7, 8 kids. Like, it's exhausting. It tears up your body. The mental load, the physical load, it's just too much. And a lot of times you go through all of that hell and you still don't get respected. And so it's like, what's the point? Like, I honestly think that we should just let the world go extinct.
I don't even know what the Korean government is trying to do at this point anymore. We all know that South Korea is struggling with low birth rate, and for multiple reasons. First of all, housing is extremely expensive in Korea, and the costs for living and education are extremely high. All those after-school programs that kids have to go to, those are expensive. And Korean companies do not pay their employees a whole ton. Plus, there are expectations to work more. So when do you have time to have kids or even take care of your kids? And the South Korean government is struggling to get that number back up. The South Korean government recently made a suggestion, and that is for girls to start primary school a year earlier than boys. Their reasoning behind this so-called research is so that girls can go to school with boys who are more mature. A year is not going to make that much of a difference. And one of the reasons behind this is supposedly boys like younger girls. In theory, somehow all these women would just prefer marrying older men, and everything will magically work out. I get it, South Korea is scrambling to get a solution, but I don't think this is it. How about lowering housing cost, lowering cost of living, and increased salary? What do you think?
I find it really funny that the 4B movement started in South Korea because South Korean guys actually take care of themselves and look good. I'm not speaking exclusively like facial features and stuff like that, but like dressing, styling, hair, makeup, plastic surgery, for God's sakes. The average South Korean man would blow the average American man out of the water. And the South Korean girl still said, no. Their personalities must be really ass. Really ass. If Western women are still dating Western guys who on average don't give a shit about the way that they look, what are we doing? Like, why aren't more Western women jumping on 4B quicker? Some of these baddies, Bratz doll bombshells, dating dudes who look and dress like ogres. And the South Korean dudes, like, I'm not even being dramatic. My sister and I went to Korea a couple of years ago. And I studied abroad there. And on average, a Korean guy dressed better than I do. When's the last time you saw a straight American man dress better than a girl on average? Never. Never. The girls always stunting. The dudes never are. In South Korea, that's not the case. Everybody's stunting on you. Everybody's ugly compared to the average South Korean worker. And these are the outfits we saw when they were on their lunch breaks. I thought I was at a fashion show, dog.
4B movement will never work. This is a waste of time for everybody.
That's because you can't see the bigger picture.
What's the bigger picture? Women already ignore me, so I'm already used to it.
The bigger picture is women telling America, you are not going to tell me what I can or can't do with my body.
Sorry, Trump won, so we are going to tell them what they're going to do. Why advocate anything for women when it's not your problem?
Do you have a mother?
I do have a mother. I love her.
Did she not raise you properly? How would you not have empathy or compassion for women going through something just because it doesn't affect you?
Because women already treat me poorly, so if something hurts them, it makes me happy. How is a national ban on abortion going to affect me?
That's funny because ultimately it does affect you.
How does banning abortion affect me?
Big corporations want to ban abortion because the birth rate in America is declining and they're not going to have workers for the future.
That's not what they told me! They said they wanted to ban it because it was the right thing to do!
Yes, and you ate up every single word because owners of these big corporations have come out and said this themselves and said they want to ban abortion months ago.
So they want more workers and I want to do what's right for the country. I guess I just don't see what the problem is!
Because if poor people have kids when they're barely getting by paycheck to paycheck, that can render them homeless or worse.
Somebody ends up homeless from a kid, that's their own fault. Get a second job!
Forcing the working class to put children in crappy situations because they don't want to fix price gouging and home prices. So the solution is banning abortion so they're forced to struggle even more is not the solution.
What? The solution is always going to be to oppress women. As long as I as a male benefit from it.
Well, I think women have spoke loud and clear. They're done with men like you.
I'm a nice
if
guy.
you're like that, okay, go get...
I'm just gonna go date Republican women. Ha ha! I'm gonna go get a traditional wife. No, I just need a fine wife.
Okay, go.
Because until now it's considered as women's work. When women give birth, there are some of the companies that give penalties to women because they need to constantly think about their kids, take care of the kids. They would not be able to, focus on their work.
What kind of penalties do they give out?
For example, you would not go to the department that you want to go. You would not be able to do the job or project that you want to do it dearly. They would say, you have a kid, you need to take care of your kid, don't you? And then you would be out from the project. Worst cases could just make them quit. There were several cases like that, and that's why the career disruption happens in women's life when they give birth. So if they quit their job, what are they going to do? Where will they go? I think that is the reason why Korean females do not want to actually give birth.
South Korea is in trouble. Their birth rate is 0.68, which is 1/3 the replacement rate, and that means in 3 generations their population will shrink by 70%. Other high-income countries have seen their birth rates decline, but South Korea is on a whole nother level. A survey found that 49% of Koreans between the ages of 18 and 49 have no plans on having children. They've also had plunging marriage rates, but check this out. There's a huge ideology gap between South Korean men and women. Korean men have moved hard to the right, and South Korean women are moving more left. Another issue is 50% of the Korean population is crammed into the capital metropolitan area. There's more economic opportunity there, but it's very crowded and has a high cost of living. I mean, Seoul is basically a sea of high-rise apartments. Probably not the best place to have a kid, and it has the lowest birth rate in the whole country. Another problem is South Koreans are workaholics. Look how high they are on average annual hours worked, even higher than the USA. They're beginning to offer huge financial incentives to have a kid, but I'm not sure if it's really going to work if people aren't getting married in the first place. What do you do to turn this?
About how feminism is led by misandry.
Just like people don't love for no reason, people don't hate for no reason. So if you genuinely believe the feminist movement is solely just about hating men, get curious. Why would that be?
Like the 4B movement, is that not of the devil? Like it's literally evil.
So the 4B movement is a feminist movement originating in South Korea in 2019.
These women are talking about how they're not going to date men, sleep with men, procreate with men.
And the 4Bs or the 4 no's are no having sex with men, no child rearing with men, no dating men, and no getting married to men. It's in response to South Korea's patriarchal state and to combat against pro-natalist policies. Fascinating that women deciding to pursue this movement for their own lives is evil and the work of the devil and not the things that men are doing to women.
And it's like, wow, like what are you going to do?
Well, we know what they're not going to do.
Feminism is going to lead these women into dating each other.
Oh, please don't threaten them with a good time.
This is not going to benefit you in any way.
And yet they would rather do that than have anything to do with men. Lots of women would rather get pets than date men. What do you think that says about their experiences with men.
This just screams you hate men.
If you're a man who genuinely cares about this, you need to stop being dismissive and deflective. Open up your mind, listen, and get curious as to why women would consider pursuing a movement like this.
Like, imagine if men got on this app and said, oh yeah, we're going to participate in the 4Bs, and we're not going to sleep with women. We're not going to talk to women or date women.
There actually is. This is what it's called, and it's been around a lot longer than the 4B movement. In fact, it once had the largest subreddit for male space content. How do I know this? Unfortunately, I was one of the former consumers of this type of content.
You know, we would get shamed for that. Actually, you know what it sounds like? It sounds weird.
I just see it as a protective measure that people may decide to implement.
This literally goes against human nature.
In response to having perhaps bad experiences with the opposite sex.
You're not gonna sleep with men and procreate with men and marry men.
Which in my opinion, I think is completely valid, and I understand why someone would choose to implement that.
Who in their right mind would want to participate in that?
It's how you proceed and move forward and navigate the world that you'd have to take into consideration.
A misandrist. That's who.
If a woman hates me solely because I'm a man, not only am I not bothered by it, I'm not threatened by it. And I really can't say I don't think women feel the same way about men who hate women. Because this group's content really wasn't centered around how you can navigate the world going your own way as a man. The majority of the content is centered around trashing and hating women, which only stands to perpetuate and creating a belief that there's nothing positive about women. The irony of a male separatist movement from women and all of the content revolves around women. For me as a man, I am sitting here at the negotiation table ready to work and settle these grievances that women have with our society. Because I do want to live in a world where men and women can both thrive and grow together. But unfortunately, there may be a lot of men who aren't ready to come to the table and they may get left behind, and if that's the case, so be it. If it means men like this wind up in communities like this and fester for the rest of their lives, and I think it's best for greater society that these men who participate in these groups don't engage with women at all. When women opt out and choose to not engage with relationships with men, this is what happens. South Korea's birth rate is one of the lowest in the world. Don't underestimate the impact you may have, ladies.
South Korea is paying people $38,000 to get married and have kids. Shiny 99 Saki 19 time shiny mine shine shine behind tonight shine hang no my shinai Taka song kain tinai shinai song koni sin chino. Let's go over there and get married and have a kid, baby. 38,000, we could use that right now.
Right now, worldwide, Europeans are at zero population growth. Actually, they are negative population growth, which means that more people are dying that are being born, whereas other people of other races are not having this issue. Non-whites are not having this issue.
There are towns in certain cities that are closing down because the entire population is dying off as time goes on. So from the young peoples of European descent leaving the town, leaving the elders there, they're dying off. Towns closing down.
Because the dominant society is dying off, the year 2032 is not too far. And many of them are trying to elongate their existence for as long as possible. So through the tanning lotions having melanin in them, everything they're trying to eat to have melanin when they're adopting these children, when they're trying to reinfuse their blood into the original gene pool by intermarriage, interracial dating. All these different ways are ways for them in their efforts to prolong their existence, which is coming to an end, sadly.
Poor people should not have kids. I'm 100% agree on this statement. And personally, I think if you are poor, like really poor, you cannot even afford your own life, and then if you decide to have kids, it's child abuse. It's irresponsible. Like a lot of people don't understand. Kids need more than just love. I keep hearing a lot of people say, oh, I'm poor, but I love my children. Yes, because love is all you have. You have nothing. You have no money. Besides love your own children, what else can you offer? But you know what? Love cannot buy bread. Love cannot buy medicine if your child is sick. Love cannot put a roof on top of your children. Love is not money. You need money to raise child. When I decide to get diamond, I make sure that I'm fully prepared. I have a full-time job with a 70,000 annual salary, an apartment which I can afford, a year's emergency fund in my high-yield saving account, a car. I make sure that I can take care of diamond financially. And he's just a cat. Compared to children, the cat is much more low maintenance. I always want to have a cat, but I did not choose to have a cat during college, during graduate school, during internship, because I don't have a stable income back then. I decided to have a cat after I have a full-time job and an emergency fund. And that's the bare minimum for me to getting a cat. If you decide to have a children, that should be the bare minimum for you as well. The stability that you can guarantee for your children.
So I, for one, am very proud of Korean women, and I just want anybody who is listening to this who may be Korean to know that all women stand behind you and you are not alone, because this is happening globally, and it's happening because men globally were taught not to listen to the wants and needs of women. They're only doing what they think is best for them in the long run and for their pockets in the long run, and they don't question why women don't want to have kids. But this is just natural selection at work, and Mother Nature is going to let a lot of them just go extinct, and that's fine with most women. We don't care because we are the ones who bring life. But it is also happening in my country, and if y'all don't know why it's happening in America, I'm gonna let the people tell y'all why. I'm gonna let the men speak, and I'm gonna let them tell you why, and maybe you can get a better idea.
This whole ectopic pregnancy thing. What do you think about this whole ectopic pregnancy thing?
I'm not sure what that is. About what?
Ectopic pregnancy.
I'm not sure what that is. I mean, God will take care of whatever's necessary to be taken care of. If a baby it should be born, it'll be born.
What about this whole ectopic pregnancy thing?
It's a red herring. That has nothing to do with the issue.
What about this, ectopic pregnancy thing?
I'm not knowledgeable to answer that.
Life begins at conception. That's when God,
So none of this. So ectopic pregnancies, it's like a loophole almost. Yeah. It's like a loophole. Yeah. Yeah. We're not doing this. We're not going to fall for that. No.
Ectopic pregnancy is when a zygote implants in an area that is not the uterine lining in the uterus. So it might implant in a fallopian tube. It also might implant in a liver. That's happened before.
Every other man I speak to has no idea what an ectopic pregnancy is.
A lot of men don't even know how menstruation works.
But they also don't. They also think it's a hoax. You explain.
Menstruation?
No.
Oh, ectopic pregnancy. I'm sorry.
Well, they probably think that too, but.
A woman in Texas was arrested and spent 5 months in jail for nothing more than having a miscarriage. She began experiencing symptoms of the miscarriage in a public bathroom, and eventually police broke into the restroom and arrested her. Just like the woman in Georgia who was arrested for her miscarriage, they charged this woman with abuse of a corpse. The judge set her bail at $100,000, which she couldn't pay, so she sat in jail for 5 months until prosecutors eventually dropped the charges and admitted that they didn't have sufficient evidence to prove that this was anything other than a miscarriage. The autopsy that was conducted long before her release date showed that this was a natural pregnancy loss. Oh, and it gets worse. While this woman was in jail, the state turned over the remains of her fetus to a religious crisis pregnancy center, which named it and then had a funeral and a burial for it, all without this woman's involvement or consent. At this point, I don't know how much more obvious it can be that these fetal personhood laws are actually a backdoor way to degrade the civil rights of women. 1 in 4 pregnancies end in a natural miscarriage, and if the state can use that as justification to put you in jail for 5 months, we are in some serious trouble. And yes, I'm walking while we're talking about this today because this is bleak, and studies show that walking for 10-15 minutes, getting some sun in your eyes, is a powerful tool to protect your mental health and keep you resilient in this fight against regressive fascism. Oh yeah, I also want to mention, by the way, it's not a coincidence that the 2 women thus far who have been arrested for their miscarriages are both Black women. They're trying to intimidate the communities that are organizing against them into silence, and they're specifically picking those who are the most vulnerable. That's why it's up to those of us with privilege to pay attention to every move they make, call out their abuses of power, and fill up the legal defense funds that are on the front lines protecting these women.
So I'm going to ask your dad some questions about you, and I want you to tell me whether he was right or wrong, okay?
Okay.
All right. When is your daughter's birthday?
Her birthday is, oh my God. Huh? Oh my God, I can't. I am the bad dad, dude.
Who are your daughter's best friends?
Ooh. I would say... I don't know.
Can you name any of your daughter's friends?
Sure.
What grade is your daughter going into?
Oh, kindergarten. Kindergarten.
What did your daughter dress up as for Halloween last year?
Cow.
No! Fish!
Oh, fish! Oh, fish!
My dad is doing all the wrong answers.
What is your daughter's middle name?
What? No, it's Michaela. No, I don't know. Oh, you don't have a middle name.
Yeah, I do.
Does your daughter play any instruments?
She plays the recorder.
No.
What did your daughter dress up as for Halloween this last year?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Wednesday? No? I feel like you were like some kind of pop star, like an artist or something.
I was the Toy Story alien.
Yeah, that's
Can you name any of your son's current teachers?
None.
How many of the 1983 New York Islanders can you name?
All of them. Billy Smith, we'll go from one on up. Billy Smith, Dennis Potvin, Stefan, Clark Gillies, Lauren Henning, Wayne Merrick, Dwayne Sutter, Bobby Bourne, Mike Bossy, Bobby Nystrom, Gord Lane, Dave Langevin, John Tonelli.
You forgot the head coach, Al Arbor.
Oh, I did leave out Al Arbor. Sorry, you're right.
What's the name of the high school your daughter just graduated from?
Oh, I know that one. Longview High.
No. Where's your head at?
What year were your sons born?
2009, 2008.
Oh, you're wrong.
2016, I think.
Are those right?
No.
How many of your son's friends can you name?
0.
Do your sons play any instruments?
I don't think so.
I play the drums and I play a little bit piano.
And I play the ukulele.
What's the name of your son's doctor?
Man, I don't know. I really don't know. That's mom's area.
What is your son's girlfriend's last name?
I do not know. I don't know.
That's mom's area?
Yeah, that's mom's area.
All right, you're there, Mom?
Yes.
Okay, great. Do you know what years they were born in?
We got 2007, 2009, and 2014.
Can you name any of their friends?
Tanner, Matthew, Tyler,
Do your boys play any instruments?
piano, drums, ukulele,
What's your son's girlfriend's last name?
corpus.
Wow, these really are mom's areas.
I told you that.
I know we all knew this was only a matter of time, but it's official. Women are no longer seen as people by the government, but simply breeding vessels for children. You heard that correctly. They are now forcing women who have been declared no longer alive to carry fetuses to term. And I know I said that I was taking a break from social media because recently I have been on unaliving watch, but I log back on for 1 minute and that's the first thing I see, and how can I not share it with everybody? Shout out to leaving my apartment for the first time just to pick up my PTSD medication that I've been put back on, but let's talk about it. This week, a hospital has told the family of a woman who has been declared brain dead that she has to carry the fetus to term because of the abortion laws in Georgia. My apologies, not necessarily to term, but to the point where she can finally birth it. Adriana Smith, a 30-year-old mother and nurse, was declared brain dead, and for the last 3 months, the hospital has forced her family to keep her on life support in order to carry a fetus that they don't even know if it's going to be born alive and all right. What it sounds like, they're uncertain if this is even going to be viable. But nevertheless, because of Georgia's abortion ban, the family has been told that they are not allowed to remove any of the life-supporting devices, despite the fact that she has been declared brain dead, unfortunately due to some blood clots. Georgia's ban only includes exception for abortion if it's necessary to maintain the woman's life. So I guess there's some confusion here. There was a similar case that happened in Texas, but eventually a judge ruled that the state was misusing the law. But this is where we're at. The family has made it clear they're unhappy with this, and it's very uncertain if the fetus will even be born alive. But I guess that doesn't matter to the state. They are putting all of these people through tremendous trauma just to prove a point. This is genuinely horrific. I don't know how to process all of this, and I'm going to go back to trying to take my break. Although with stories like this every day, I don't know if I can.
So the birth rate is the lowest it's ever been. It's plummeting. Can we make the statement that, hey, a lot of young people right now that are trying to get rich and get wealthy, and they're putting off marriage, they're putting off having children, maybe they should rethink that?
Blame the birth rates being low on everything but their behavior, their actions, and how they're treating women. Everything.
A lot of women want to be raped, and when I say raped, I mean like, that sounds bad when I say it like that, but there's like a lot of women that really want a guy to beat the shit out of them. But also, they have to pretend, but part of it is they have to pretend like they don't.
I have 3 sons, 10 and younger, and I've had conversations with all my sons about what misogyny is, what the manosphere is, so that they can recognize it when they see it. Nick Fuentes was recently platformed by Tucker Carlson, and his brand of incel misogyny is not only becoming more normalized, but it is being fed to young men online. If you have sons, you need to talk to them about misogyny before Nick Fuentes talks to them about misogyny. Now, not all of their ideas sound quite as extreme as this. It may start with simple ideas about being an alpha male or that women should be feminine and appealing. But we see where this leads. Traditional gender role culture is rape culture. So let me help you identify some of the bad ideas for you to talk to your kids about. First of all, male loneliness is women's fault.
Why aren't people married? Well, I mean, honestly, it's the women. I think a lot of men are looking at women and they're very liberal. They're overweight. They have a very high estimation of themselves. I think that people call it hoflation.
This is in some ways the foundation of this incel movement. It's built on male resentment. And instead of helping boys and men look inward and address the wounds that are keeping them from being relationally and emotionally mature and available, they just help you blame women. If you're single, it's women's fault. No introspection about what you're bringing to the table. Secondly, what women really want is an alpha male.
All women naturally want strong men. Of course. They naturally want a Chad. You know, they want like a tall, buff guy.
Fuentes will tell you that regardless of what women say, they want a Chad, an alpha male. If they say they want tenderness or a man who centers them and listens, don't listen to what they're saying they want. Listen to what these guys on the internet are saying they want. But we see where that mindset leads, to rejecting women's no and diminishing the need for consent. 3, women belong in certain roles.
None of them want to work either. None of them
That's what I'm saying.
work.
No, that's what I'm saying. Of course. That's right. It's obviously true. It's always been true. Work outside the home.
Right.
They don't have enough work at home. You know, there's a lot to do.
They like these vague appeals to equality. We want a chance to work and we want respect.
They'll tell you this is just natural. This is the order of things. More and more of these internet figures are saying the quiet part out loud, that they don't even think women should have the right to vote. And these men love to talk about how women belong in the home, but then they act like they're leeches off of a man's salary. But the data's pretty clear that not only are women now just as employed as men in the marketplace, and few households can even survive on just a man's income, but even in these 2-income households, the woman does far more unpaid domestic labor. And you've got to talk to your boys about these views because they're no longer fringe, and we see where they lead. They lead to violence towards women, and they lead to high levels of male loneliness and suicidality. So please, parents, talk to your boys before Nick Fuentes does.
Your body, my choice? Oh yeah, I agree with that completely. Frankly, if we're going to be controlling bodies, we need to start doing it for everyone and make it fair. But hold on, hear me out, okay? Every single man at the age of 12 needs to do mandatory DNA registration with the government, no exceptions. And if you get somebody pregnant, the system automatically pulls your DNA, and guess what? Boom, you're locked in. Mandatory 50% custody. 50% of costs, medical bills, food, diapers, and not just money either. You're signing up for government-mandated parenting classes, emotional intelligence classes, nonviolent communication. And if you refuse to pay literally any of those, or participate in any of those classes, massive fines with interest paid directly to the mother and child. Oh, and if you refuse to pay that, that's a theft charge with an 18-year minimum sentence. The same length of time it takes to raise that kid. Because if a woman can't opt out, then neither can you.